From today, here in the UK, new rules will mean technology companies have to take measures and put measures in place to take action against illegal content. But is this enough? Well, Ian Russell's daughter, Molly, she took her own life when she was just 14, beautiful girl, after seeing harmful content online. And he has been campaigning ever since. And just in a moment, we'll also hear from Australian journalist and mum of three, Rosanna Mangieri. As Australia, we become the first country to ban the under-16s from social media. That's going to happen later this year. But first, Ian, if we talk about this Online Safety Act, I mean, obviously, any step forward is welcome, but does it go far enough, do you
No,
think?
this does not.
No.
It doesn't go far enough, which is frustrating, to say the least. It doesn't go far enough because the same sort of harm that Molly saw 7 or 8 years ago is still available online. It doesn't go far enough because in that time, new emerging harms have come about. The AI brings harms with it. There's a thing called fluid ideologies where different sorts of harms combine together into a sort of digital melting pot of harms. And that, for example, causes different sorts of tragedies, like the hideous tragedy in Southport earlier this year when Axel Rudakabana committed those horrible, that triple murder. It doesn't go far enough because parents like me who have lost children are losing faith in Peter Kyle. He's the Secretary of State responsible for legislation because he seems to be adding dither and delay where there doesn't need to be. We need to move fast to keep pace.
Yes, we do, because the technology is so fast.
It's so lightning,
and we can't keep up with it. This is the thing. Do you feel as if, though, there's a goal there that you can see? You can actually see it's within reach, but we just have to be bold.
Exactly that. The goal is there. And I think if the Prime Minister, for example, was prepared to lead on this, like no Prime Minister has done before him. This has been 5 years going through Parliament. Ofcom have consulted for another 18 months. If Keir Starmer was prepared to lead on this, that goal isn't that far away. Right. In the meantime, he's responsible for not doing enough about harms that are preventable on his watch, and that needs to change.
So how bad is it for young people? What are we talking about in terms of numbers? Do we know?
Well, the sort of worst sort of statistic is perhaps that, on average, there are 200 young people who die by suicide every year.
200 kids.
There's research by the University of Manchester that says roughly a quarter of those, just under a quarter, there's definitely a connection to online harms. But that's probably an underestimate because it's hard for them to get the data.
Sure.
That's something like 1 young person a week dies.
Oh,
so
that's horrific.
The clock really is ticking. This
really
is literally vital.
No, it is. And I mean, I don't know if you've seen this Adolescence that everybody's talking about, this Netflix programme, which has got people thinking about this and worrying about this, because I think there's the attitude, isn't there? If your child is under your roof and is in their room, because you know what teenagers are like, they want to be in their room, that's fine, and they're safe. But of course, they're not safe. I don't need to tell you that, because they're looking at these horrific sites. They've got access to them. And that's the worry, isn't it? The fact that you think they're OK, but they're not. It
is hard for parents. And you're absolutely right. When any of us are by ourselves and looking at the world through that glass window that is a smartphone or a tablet, you could be connected to anyone or anything, anywhere in the world. And some of it is quite harmful. But I really do think there is hope, as you were saying. And that hope is if the Prime Minister leads on this. At the moment, it's the Molly Rose Foundation did research that shows only 8% of parents think the government is doing enough. That's ridiculous.
It's bad.
85% of parents want stronger online legislation. If the Prime Minister was to listen to that polling and take action, actually, if you build on the Online Safety Act, the foundations are there. Yeah. They're not bad. The Act needs strengthening. Ofcom need to be stronger in terms of implementing the Act, but it wouldn't take that long to do good and to deliver a safer online world. No, absolutely. Stay with us, because we do have a right reply from Peter Kyle. And he says, my pledge to parents across the country is clear. He says, I will act decisively to protect children online now and in the future. Right, you have said that to us and we shall hold you to that. We shall hold you to that. We've also been asking you if under-16s should be banned from using social media. Now, this is interesting. 86% of you say yes.
Only 14% are against the idea. I'm going to talk to Ian about that in just a minute. But Australia is going to become the first country to introduce such a ban for under-16s. That's going to happen this year. Join me now, Channel 7 presenter and mum of 3, Rosanna Mangiarelli. It's so good to talk to you. I wonder if, you know, this complete ban, how has it gone down in Australia and why it happened in the first place?
Well, it's very interesting, Lorraine. Good morning to you, and Ian, to you as well. I'm very deeply sorry for your loss, but I applaud you for all the work you're doing in this space. This was really born in South Australia. The Premier of South Australia, Peter Malinauskas, came up with the idea months and months ago and was working through it diligently until the federal government pounced and rushed through legislation just late last year. So it was on the final sitting day of Parliament. So it will prevent under 16-year-olds from having these social media apps. The only thing is it will take 12 months to implement. So how it's going to look is still very much up in the air, and a lot of work still needs to be done.
No, very much so. I mean, you're a mother yourself of teenagers. What's been the reaction from your kids?
Well, it's kind of funny. I've got a 16-year-old who relies so much on social media. It is her connection to all her friends, and I am very open with my kids. We talk about social media a lot. I love the fact that she uses it to send me recipes and holiday ideas, and I feel connected to her through social media as well. So she's been with it for a few years now, and when I mentioned the ban to her, she flipped. She didn't like it at all and thinks it's the most ridiculous idea, and there were almost tears in her eyes. She said, well, how am I ever going to be connected to my friends? That's the most ridiculous thing I've heard. And then I turned to my 13-year-old, who is very new to social media, and she said, oh, listen, Mum, I'd be fine with it if no one else had it. So two very different opinions there.
And that's interesting, isn't it? Because a lot of it is peer pressure. But if none of them can do it, then... But yeah, you wonder if it's, you know, can it be implemented? Isn't it all down then to parents as well? You know, it's parental responsibility too.
Well, this is what I think. I mean, the onus under this legislation will be solely on the actual tech companies, and they have to take reasonable steps to prevent any 16-year-old from having these apps. No parent will be fined, no child will be fined. So in a way, I feel like, you know, we've got 77% of parents or adults in Australia who support this legislation, less than what you have in your poll that you did. But I feel like in some ways parents just want it swept under the carpet, out of sight, out of mind, and they don't have to worry about it. Whereas I'm thinking what we should be doing is sitting down at the dinner table with our children, talking about social media, talking about the negative impacts it might have and the negative, harmful content that they may see.
Exactly, Ian, I'm sure you would agree with what Rosanna's saying there. And do you think it's feasible at all in this country to ban social media for under-16s?
Firstly, the most important thing is for the discussions between generations to keep happening. If you keep that, as Rosanna was suggesting, if you keep those discussions going, that's the most important thing. And that sort of digital literacy that allows everyone to understand grows. Each part of the conversation informs the other. Bans, as we've also heard, in Australia, it's going to take at least 12 months to consult. Then there'll probably be a period of implementation. And there may even be legal challenges to the bans. We've seen TikTok challenge the American ban that was proposed, for example. These things don't run quickly. They might... it's certainly not going to be quicker than proper legislation that makes the online world safer. So that's why I don't think bans that penalise young people are the right answer. Regulation on one hand and education on the other hand is the best thing and can happen just as quickly, in fact, quicker than a ban.
It kind of sounds good. You know, a politician has made a statement, all sounds very good, all, you know, but actually, when you get right down to it and you look at it, there's a lot more to be done.
It doesn't remove the harmful content.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't remove the harmful content. That's what regulation would do.
Exactly. Ian, thank you so much. And Rosanna, thank you for joining us from Australia. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much indeed. And all that you do, all this mission, it is in memory of your Molly. And it's so sad that you have to do it, but it's brilliant that you do, because it's going to help so many people. And I think, You know, there's a ray of hope there, I think. You know, I do think we'll get there.
We will.
We will.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ian. Hi there. Thanks so much for watching our YouTube channel. We upload new videos every single day. So click here if you're interested in this video or head to the homepage for more amazing content.